Appreciate that repost, man. Appreciate that repost. If y'all haven't reposted, go ahead and do it now for your boy. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Get these cone stuff while we wait on a few more people to get in here. Man, it's gonna be an interesting topic right here. I don't think a lot of people are ready for what I'm about to show them in a few of these books. What's happening, Capri? Peace. Giants in America. Well, people always ask how was the pyramids built, but for some reason we always rule out giants. I don't know if we rule them out because people scared to sound weird or crazy or something, but I mean, honestly, that's kind of really the only explanation for real, for real. You know what I'm saying? Who built the pyramid? Got to be giants. You know, giants built a lot of stuff around here. You know, who put the highways together like a Hot Wheel track? Had to be giants. The giant bell, giant trees. You know what I'm saying? It's not hard to believe when you have an open mind. Yeah, I know what's happening in the Anunnaki. Now, facts 216. It ain't really hard to believe when you got an open mind. You know, sadly, society done did a number on society in the public. You know what I'm saying? You know, they like to make everything into mythicalness to get people to not believe in it. Fairy tale and shit. But crazy thing is when you got sources to back up the giants, then you in a whole different ball game because the information is out there. The information is out there. Not only is the information out there about America and Egypt and Atlantis being the same, but there's also information out there about America also being known as the land of giants. And we're going to talk about that today too, right? It was also known as the land of giants, the land of serpents. You know, this is the real old world. A lot of stuff began over here and just branched out. You know, a lot of people's ancestors started from over here and just branched out. Just being real. All right, they hide everything in fantasy and sci-fi. Yup. Cartoons, Disney movies, sci-fi, fantasy. You know, they always put the truth in plain sight. You know, anime. The NBA. Real shit, the NBA. Because all they did was kind of just like make giants normalized to the point where we don't even kind of look at 7 feeters and, you know, 7'6"ers like they giants. Like, we probably look at them as they giants, but like nobody's looking at them like giants. You know what I'm saying? Descendants of giants and shit. But we're going to get into all that though. You know, everybody always asks what happened to the giants. Shit, they dribbling basketballs right now. They playing sports and shit. Appreciate that repost. Hey. About to get it in here in a second. Just trying to get my pre-rolls together. Let a few more people get in here before we get started. You know. Appreciate that gift. What's happening? Well, Leah. Hope I said that right. Peace. happening, Manhunt? Peace, 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 peace. Appreciate y'all for sharing the live, hitting that repost button. Make sure y'all hit that repost button if y'all haven't. Excuse me. So what do y'all think about the background? What's happening, Raw? So what y'all think about the background? Anybody want to answer the background real quick while we wait on some more people to get in here? To go ahead and kind of start slowly kicking the live off real quick. So what y'all think about the background? After everything that we've been learning, all the books, all the researching and everything like that, like what do y'all feel like and know and believe in? You know what I'm saying? What do y'all believe in? What do y'all know and believe in? So are you in the belief that a lot of the mountaintops are trees? Yeah, a lot of the mountains used to be trees. I definitely believe that and kind of know that. You know, a lot of the, a lot of these mountains used to be ancient trees and shit. Peace, peace, divine love. A lot of them used to be ancient trees and stuff. hmm Shit, some of these mountains might be like some petrified giants too, as well. La la land, what's happening? Anybody else want to take a stab at the background? Do y'all believe, or do y'all know, or do you agree? How do y'all feel about this topic? Get a little engagement going. Y'all ain't sleep, are you? Mic check 1 2 1 2. The live good? Sound clear? Y'all ain't sleep, is you? What y'all think about the topic? Y'all agree, disagree? Don't know? What's happening? All right, let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. Let me sip my coffee real quick. There we go. Let's get it on. Appreciate the likes, the love, the gifts, y'all. If y'all haven't hit that repost button, make sure y'all do throughout the live. Share it throughout the live. Peace, Chubby in the building. Learn how to repost the live. So, are the Negro Indian giants of America the Titans and the giants of the Bible? Now, as we've been learning that America's the real old world. Okay. We've been learning about the proto-Negroid, right? Being here first. Okay. Originating from these lands. Okay. We also know that most of the natives, they don't know nothing about the mounds or who built it because they was already built before they got here. Right? We also know that Thoth is an Atlantean, and not just Thoth, but other so-called gods and deities that we about to cover throughout this week, right, are also Atlanteans, and they come from America, right? This is why your Egyptian gods are your American gods. And technically your Greek gods is American gods too, because the Greeks fashioned their gods after the ancient Egyptian gods, who are the Atlanteans, which come from America. You see what I'm saying? So understand this. And we also learned about Negro, Buddha, Thoth, Buddha, all the guys is described as a Negro and everything. So everything is coming back to America, Negro, America. And we're just going to keep on diving in deep. So we talked about Thoth, Zeus, Serapis. We talked about all these guys, demigods and everything. So it's only right for us to talk about the giants, right? Because the giants was here. And when I say here, they was here in America, right? America got, if not the most giant skeletons ever found, right? But of course, the Smithsonian covers it up, all right? So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into some shit, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I'm just introducing to y'all the new topic for next week. All right. Introducing y'all the new topic of next week. So we have to wonder, how was the pyramids built? Well, like I said, the pyramids were built by giants. And not just giants, but we helped them. They helped us. We all was working in harmony. Okay. But let's get into it, though. Let's get into it. So, first thing first is we're going to get into this, right? Bringing out a classic, one of the classics, right? Lost Histories of America, all right? The researchers into the lost histories of America, the zodiac shown to be an old terrestrial map in which the Atlantic Owl is delineated, so that light can be thrown upon the obscured histories of the earthworks and ruined sites of America. All right, get y'all screenshots. Appreciate the gifts. Get y'all screenshots. All right, get y'all screenshots. I am that I am. What's happening? Like the username. All right. All right. Without further ado, let's dive into it. So when we dive into this book, we're going to get into it. Right? We're going to get into it. Buckle up. So, excuse me. So it reads, what's happening, Saint? Peace. And it reads what? Mr. Kane has a theory. He finds in the legends of Ireland, right? Remember who's in Ireland? Matter of fact, pop quiz. Y'all tell me who in Ireland. We talked about Ireland a lot. It's still March. Who is in Ireland, y'all? Just so we can get it in our head before we start reading. Who's in Ireland? Moors, Sephardics, the forefathers. All right. So he finds the legends in Ireland and in the histories of the Tuthia, the Danans, the race of the Cushites. Listen, the race of the Cushites, the Tuathia, the Danans, right, are with him. Okay. The last Cushite colony that settled in Ireland in 1900 BC, the last Cushite colony that settled in Ireland in 1900 BC. Who are these Cushites? It's the question, right? Who is these Cushites? Shit, right now, I'm a Cushite. Nah, but for real, who's these Cushites? All right. 1900 BC in Ireland. But who were the Cushites? That's what I'm asking. Who were the Cushites, though? On the tracing of mythology, the Cushites are the Atlantides. Uh-oh, there go that word. They said what? They say the Cushites were Atlantides. Remember what we learned about the Atlantides, y'all. They say Cush is the Atlantide. And we know that the word Atlantide is another name. All right? We know that Atlantide is another name for what? Thoth. Atlanteans. Atlantis. America. The name Tyrone origins is from Ireland, for real? I ain't never knew that. I never knew the origins of the name Tyrone was from Ireland. That's very telling right there in itself. If you being for real, that's very telling in itself, right? Tyrone. Okay, somebody better call him. Somebody better call Tyrone. Thoth the Atlantean was a priest. We know that. All right? Okay. We know that. He was also an Atlantean. Or another name was an Atlantide. Right? And remember, the followers and the descendants of Thoth are known as Atlanteans or children of the sun. Okay? So the Cushites are the Atlanteans. Okay? Well, one of the branch of the Atlanteans. The Cushites are the Atlantides. This is seen in the native name of the Indians of Central America and Yucatan. What's happening, Crew Cuss? Peace, y'all. Appreciate it. Y'all hit that repost button. Remember, too, Thoth is Buddha. Buddha is a Negro. Don't let it go over your head. All right? Let me say that again. Thoth, the Atlantean, is Buddha. Buddha is a Negro. All the gods are Negroes. I ain't say that. This white author that I'm reading said that. Don't get mad at me. Okay? Don't get mad at me. All right? But listen, they say that on the tracing of mythology, the Cushites are the Atlantides. This is seen in the native name of the Indians, the native name of the Indians of Central America and the Yucatan. Atlan is glossed by Kutan or Kutan. Okay? Yucatan is Yukutan. The Danans of Ireland have been found at page 206 in Central America. The Danans, or Danites as we know them, of Ireland were found in Central America, as the Hoodoos, Danis, and the Greeks, Danius. Listen who is in Central America that they finding. Because America's the real old world. You'll be surprised whose forefathers come from here. And remember, a lot of these are Negroid people, swarthy. So don't be thinking white folks when we be saying these European names, because they haven't even mutated into existence yet, right? We talking about ancient times and giants and shit. There was no pale skin straight here. I mean, unless they had leprous or some shit, or albino. Outside of that, No. What's happening? El Cristo, Negro, what's happening? Peace. Big Rico, was good? Shout out to everybody that's in here. KB77, appreciate the follow. What's happening? All right. So let's keep going though, all right? So the Danans of Ireland have been found on page 206 in Central America as the Hindu Danis and the Greek Danaus, right? Tuatha is the leader of that race into Ireland, as Teutes is into Gaul and Thoth into Egypt. Now here's the thing, all of these are Thoth, right? Tuatha, Tides, and Thoth is all the same person or the same being, okay? It is said that, quote, King Alfred was educated in Ireland at the College of Bow, right? The College of Bow, in Mayo. All of his time came to Ireland for education, unquote. It was seen from the map of Mayo that the Mayas of Yucatan in crossing into Ireland. What? They said what? They said the Mayas of the Yucatan was crossing into Ireland. What? We've been trying to tell people this war. Folk been calling us the boy, man. Look. Folk better open that book. What's that in the health wealth? Folk better open that book, man. We've been trying to tell people. They said what? They said the Mayas crossed into Ireland. American Indians in Europe before 1492? Man. So the Mayas of the Yucatan crossing into Ireland must have settled in Mayo, right? And have given their own name to the land. Okay? For the county is full of the name of the god Baal, Bala, right? Baal, Bala, Bali grass, Bali moat, and others. Passing from Ireland and its myths to the other parts of the British Isles, it may be noticed that one of the most observable subjects which the British antiquities have been accustomed to study is that of the hopes or the heaps of stones which are discoverable on the summits of the hill in England. Okay, appreciate the gift, Shaw. What's happening, Sean? All right. And Wales. In England, they are called barrows. In Wales, they called cairns. All right. In the account of the Appalachian Indian described on page 177, it is said that that race of Indians were accustomed to observe this particular practice. They eradicated heaps of stones in all their colonies. From the position of the Appalachian Indians, they must necessarily have been among the earliest arrivals of the Oceanides in Europe. So the Appalachian Indians is in Europe too, right along with the Mayas. Again, the hill forts of Wales and England are faithfully reproductions of those of Mexico. Excuse me? The hill forts of Wales and England are faithfully reproduction of those of Mexico? It is the same in the Cyclopean Bridge. The hill fort called the Castle of Tintagel is a famous specimen of one, and the Cyclopean Bridge and the Long Bridge near Trevian Trevena on the west coast of Cornwall, right? On Mexican antiquities, there is a picture of these forts and walls. Now, what's that in Sleepy Eyes? Now, oh man. Now, just think about this. Who are the Mayas? Because if we pull up Ireland, we ain't gonna find no Native American looking people over there. I'm just being real. And then we talk about ancient times. So the modern phenotype of the natives didn't even exist back then. You see what I'm saying? Who knew about the Mayas going to Ireland? Who knew about the Appalachian Indians going to Europe as well too? Who knew about all these forts and castles in Wales and England that are reproductions of Mexico? And the whole time you thought that was some England shit. School did a number on us. I'm telling you, man, you gotta start giving people all that credit. A lot of that shit ain't theirs. And those same Mayas and Indians who went to Europe became known as Moors in Safford Eyes once again, aka British Indians, right? But let's keep going though. All right, we're in the lost histories of America. All right, we're in the lost histories of the America. Now we talking about the islands of the Pacific, right? I'm just giving y'all an introduction of what we're gonna be talking about and reading from this week coming up, since we've been talking about pretty much religion and everything, right? We learning where it all come from. What's that in BCU? So we learning where it all come from, right? So peak game. So the sign of the Ibis, right? Thoth. Remember, Thoth is Ibis. The sign of Thoth, the sign of the Ibis, and its mythology. Okay? The extraordinary historical inference which have been deduced from mythology in the two last chapters cannot be met with some amount of incredulity. It is difficult to bring oneself to believe that a land so remote as South America could ever have participated in the formation of the great empires of Asia. Asia, right? Right. Thomas Jefferson told you that the American Aborigines went over to Asia and became the Asia Aborigines. Thomas Jefferson told you that. I ain't say that. All right. Could ever participated in the formation of the great empires of Asia. Shi dynasty, Shi Maya, right? Come on. It is necessary, therefore, to search into the writings of travelers who have visited the South Sea Island to find out if there exist traditions or structural remains which can bear upon the early histories of Polynesia. The Ptolemaic zodiac, there is a small constellation in the form of a bird, right? Bird, and it is called Apus, right? A bird, Apus, Apis, right? The Coptic zodiac, this sign has the same of Ibis, Thoth. The position of the sign in both instances is dubious, as the ancients took no notice of oceans in the formation of their maps. The sign may belong to one of the islands of the South Seas. Whether it does or not can only be determined by research. As the Ibis, or Thoth, is found in the Egyptian mythology as an emblem of the god Thoth, it can be studied easily, right? The Ibis was a sacred word. The Ibis was sacred both to the first and second Thoth, or Tayut, or Tat. But it is the latter god that carries the bird instead of the human head, right? The first Thoth, right? The first Thoth is mentioned by Matthew as the preceptor of Isis, right? Remember, Thoth is Buddha. And Buddha's temple is in the Grand Canyon, right next to Isis temple in the Grand Canyon, right? All right, peep game. The second Thoth is called the god of letters, as scribe of the lower regions, right? The lower regions, the noted the actions of the dead and read them to Osiris, the judge of Amenti. Okay, to him the Egyptians owe social institutions. He passed for a son of Agatha Demon, right? Agatha Demon, huh? He invented writing, astronomy, and music. He invented writing, astronomy, and music, right? And who is the best people in music today? Who love themselves some astronomy and zodiacs and shit today? Who like writing, right? PK. All right. He was the institutor of the sacerdotal class, right? Champollion has a picture of him where he is described as counselor to Pu, the moon, right? He presides over the air, right? Somebody else presides over the air in the Bible, all right? And just above the fourth region, peep game. All right, peep game. All right, let's keep going. Shout out to everybody that's in here. So the zone depended on the moon, right? So the zones depended on the moon. Where my lighter at? What's happening, Lou? Peace, peace. All right. Shout out to everybody that's in here. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. We got 33 people. We just get 33 reposts jumping, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Right? Y'all good so far? Y'all straight? What's happening, Mulatto? Peace, peace. So the zone depended on the moon, which comprehended another zone of 16 regions of pure air. 16 regions of pure air, right? This description of Thoth and his domicile is as equivocal to the sign of Ibis, because they're the same. All right. What is meant by presided over a gated air? Right? One is left to conjecture, but there is an island in the South Seas which bears the name of Thoth still till this day. And y'all know what it's called. It is Tahiti. Tahiti. Thoth told you he is an Atlantean. Everybody be thinking Lemuria is fabricated, and come on, man, think about it. Don't just dismiss something because you haven't dug into it. There's islands that still carry Thoth's name to this day, and Tahiti is one of them. This is why you like a Tahitian treat, huh? A Tahitian treat? B-game. So there's an island that bears the name of Thoth still to this day, right? It is Tahiti. And its position in relation to South America would admit of the supposition of that sign of the Ibis must be intended for Tahiti. There is in the British Museum a pictorial of Tahiti exactly like that of Thoth. Under these circumstances, it is proper to search into the description given of Tahiti when first discovered to assertion if there were anything but the island that would connect it to the Ibis head god. All right, what's happening, Dynasty? Peace, peace. Okay. All right. The work that answers this purpose is the missionary voyage in the ship of Duff, unquote. This ship was sent out by London missionary societies with the first missionaries to the South Seas. In that work, the island is called Tahiti Note, right? Tahiti Note. This is material to the present inquiry, as the Agatha demon bears the name of now, and as the word equally belongs to the Noah, or the Toltec race of Mexico and Central America, huh? There is a very well engraved picture of what is called the mortary or the mortari, right? Moors of Ibria. This erection is a sort of pyramid of solid masonry, not cyclopean, okay? But built of right stones. Its dimension seems quite marvelous. It is 270 feet long, 90 feet wide, and 51 feet high. This is not a great deal less than post office in St. Martin's, Le Grand, London. It is quite plain that this erection could not have been built by so-called savages, as pyramidal buildings all over the world are imitations of the fabled Maru. The pyramid buildings all over the world are imitations of the fabled Maru, all right, which was the worldly temple of the supreme being, and considered by the followers, right? And considered by the followers of Buddha, right? Remember who Buddha is? Thoth, the followers of Thoth, the followers of Buddha, as the temple of the son of the spirit of heaven. Thoth, remember what we just got done reading. Okay, whose bones and limbs were scattered over the face of the earth. Oh, what Egyptian god did that happen to? There's 37 people in here. What Egyptian god did that happen to? Told you. Thoth is multiple people. What Egyptian is Osiris? The son is the father is the son. They're the same people. All right. So P game. So Asiatic researchers, the land of Tahiti, or the island of Thoth, may have been an outstation of the same Asiatic settlements that have been found in America. Okay. This makes it necessary to transcribe an account of the inhabitants of Tahiti before the arrival of the Europeans from a work of Gasset de Saint Sauveur. Okay, man, the island of Thoth. You would think that would be over there by goddamn Egypt or something. For real, you would think that would be over there by Egypt or something. That's a little pyramid. I know it's turned sideways, but you know that's the pyramid they talking about. Step stones and everything built the same like the ones in the Yucatan, and you know what I'm saying. So, P gang. So we gonna keep going. I'm telling you, man, I got some gems for us this year. I got some gems for us this year, man. Hey, so P gang. So they had arts, commerce, and navigation. Sound familiar? Their manner of dressing had a curious agreement with that of the ancient Romans, So they used to dress. The way that they dress would kind of look like ancient Romans, America's the real old world, P gang. They had houses 300 feet long. Houses 300 feet long. The fuck is these teepees and shit doing out here? Anyways, they dressed for table with the punctuality and respect of Europe, right? With them, marriage was a religious ceremony, right? They had canoes, vessels constructed differently from other South Sea islanders with a mast of triangular sails. In war, they united many vessels forming a war stage. They were astronomers and had names for all the stars. They knew the movements of their rise and setting, and they directed their navigation by the situation of the sun and moon. Their day was composed of 12 equal parts. Their year had 13 months. Oh, so y'all year had 13 months too? That's crazy, because ours had 13 months over here too on the mainlands. Man, look, once we start decolonizing our mind from these colonizing territorial lines that don't exist, a lot of stuff will start making sense. OCO, what's that in wisdom, right? But like we've been telling y'all, we had a 13-month calendar. They just got rid of it in 1937. Real shit. They just got rid of the 13-month calendar in 1937. Just like that shit just happened. A lot of things happened in 1920s to the 1950s. And it all somehow, so-called coincidentally, turned into the disenfranchisement of the Black American. And then as we were being disenfranchised, ironically, all the Nagas around the world was too. Right? Nagasaki got hit. You know what I'm saying? Tahiti, Hawaii, the Polynesians got hit, West Indies got hit, the Indus Valley got hit. Everywhere these Nagas was got hit. Even over there in the Egypt and Africa, Negas ain't even over that motherfucker no more. It's Arabs, Turks and shit. Big game, big game, big game. Follow the Naga, you'll find your people every time. All right, follow the Naga, you'll find your people every time, right? So, and they also had a 13-month calendar commencing and closing with the moon. They measured by feet and calculated by dozens. They believed in the immortality of the soul. This is hermetics, y'all. This is hermetics, man. This is why when you woke up, all these symbols and shit just, you were just drawn in. The hermetics. When people ask you what is your original spirituality, man, it's some shit that they can't even comprehend still to this day, even when we tried to tell them back then. Hermetics. Serpent teaching. All right, America the real old world. Let's get back to it. All right, America the real old world. Let's get back to it though. All right. So, P gang. Yeah. Being time was happening. Excuse me. So now they believed in the immortality of the soul. They had temples but no idols because we're not supposed to have idol. We're not supposed to be idol worshiping. We're not supposed to have idols. Anything pretty much dealing with idol and idol worshiping has been corrupted, and it just got there. Anciently, originally, we didn't need no idols. We looked like the creator. So if we ever needed an image of what the creator looked like, we would look at ourselves. We ain't need no idols. We ain't need no outside worship. A peak game though. So they had temples but no idols. Their name for peasant was Tayutan, right? Tayutan. And they had a god called Tawadiite or Tawadite, right? Putting these facts together, it is now manifest that the island of Tahiti must once have been in the state of civilization much more advanced than when first visited by the modern missionaries. The Great Mordri, or the Great Mordrai, Moors, Mordrai, Mauritanians, Moors, Morderos, Moors, niggas, Nagas, Moors, right? Okay. So the Great Mordrai must have been the work of some American race. Oh, Lord. No, they didn't go there. No, they didn't go there. Nah, Lowe's, the Moors ain't from America, man. Stop that shit, bro. The Moors ain't from America. Stop that, man. Look, man. It ain't me that you need to try to debunk. Come on, man. You gotta understand what a Moor is. You gotta understand what a Moor is. If you don't understand what a Moor is, holy, you're gonna be confused every time that shit pop up in history. But anyways, though, man, shout out to everybody that's in here, man. Y'all good? Y'all straight? Y'all digging this topic? Y'all think that this is a good topic for this week coming up? You think folks gonna jig with it? How y'all feel about this? How many of y'all knew this? How many of y'all didn't know this? You know, I be trying to connect the jigsaw puzzle to create a bigger picture for everybody. I said the land of Tahiti, the land of thought. Ain't that something? The land of thought, Tahiti, thought. Not in Africa, but in the South Seas, where so-called Queen Mu. All right. All right. Y'all good? Mic check 1 2 1 2. The sound good. Everything smooth. I just want to make sure that TikTok ain't messing with the live. Nothing. All right, let's keep it going though. So now, right? Let's keep going. Let's keep going. So they said that the Great Mordrai must have been the work of some American race or races, as substantial buildings of that kind are not common in Eastern Europe. What? They said these buildings are not common in Eastern Asia. My bad. They said that this artwork, the Great Mordrai, had to come from some American races because these buildings are not common in Eastern Asia. Who is the Morai? I don't know who the Morai is. All right. The name of the island as Tahiti links it onto the Noah race of Mexico, while the pyramidal character of the Morai corresponds to the pyramid of Chachula, right? Under these circumstances, it is reasonable to infer that the island have been visited and colonized by the Oceanides of America. The Oceanides of America, right? We're going to dive into all of that soon, right? And that it has been some sort of stepping stone between the two hemispheres, okay? The character of the shipping mentioned and the knowledge of maritime movements created the supposition that it was by such means that the passage of the Pacific Ocean was in early times performed. In that case, the islands must have been a part of the mystic bridge, which the Oriental writings call Shina Var or China Var, right? To China Var, right? China, and on which they place Mar and Squash or Sudarash in place. So Tahiti is not the only island which bears testimony to the former presence of people in a state of civilization higher than that which is now characteristic of the island. So who are these advanced beings of India Superior? All right. Who is these beings of India Superior? Who is this ancient advanced race? Well, when we think about the times of Thoth, when we think about those times of the gods and the time of Thoth, it was so-called humans here, but it was also giants here at the same time, advanced. See, Hollywood like to make you think that giants was like big dumb motherfuckers, right? But that's not true. That's Hollywood and Disney making a mockery of them. As we've been reading this whole time with Thoth and all of these people are giants. Thoth, the gods, the Titan, all these people, right? The giants were the first blacksmiths. The giants was the first alchemists, the inventors, right? The pyramid builders. They were the advanced technology, and they taught man the wisdom. That is the story. That's what we've been breaking down. They taught man, the descendants of them, right? We about to get into that. Right? We about to get into that. Right now. So, which will bring them out of the view of the several locations assigned to them. First, there are the gods. This has already been brought out by the legend of Oceanus, who is the father of all the gods. Oceanus is the father of all the gods. Now, who would Oceanus be? Who would his counterpart be? Oceanus, who would he be in Greek? Or not Greek, but like biblically, right? Who would he be? We're gonna have to figure that out soon though, right? So Pete Gang. So Oceanus, who is the father of all the gods, judging of the word God by the light of the Asiatic mythology, the race or races that have the name ought to have been Japanese for Japan, is in the island or in the land of gods and the celestial spirits. In all probability, the term has been used for the people of Asia generally who have mingled their blood and fortune with the aborigines of the land. We're talking about America. Mingled their blood and fortune with the aborigines of the land, America, right? Who is these people? In the course of the present work, it will be brought out to view that these gods have, in the course of their residence in the mound cities of the red man, given rise to a new order of gods, which has linked itself on the European life, right? Linked itself on the European life, huh? In the imagination of the ancients, America must also have been peopled by giants. This is not the only case in the classics, but it seems to have been the notion entertained by the Scandinavians. Quote, the Janites were the sons of Celeus and Terra, Terra being Earth, Gaia. According to Hesiod, they sprung from the blood of the wound which Celeus received from his son Saturn. His son Saturn, right? Lucifer, son Thoth, right? All right, peep game. Hygius calls them sons of Tartarus. Whoa. Hygius, Negros de la Terra, Negroes of the land. Has a different ring to it now, right? And I think in that book they was talking about giants a little bit, if I'm not mistaken, right? So Hygius called them sons of Tartarus and Terror. So they are called Tartarus and Terror, these giants. They are represented as men of uncommon stature. They are represented as men of uncommon stature, with strength proportioned to their gigantic size. Some of them, as Catius, Bertus, and Gagus, had each 50 heads and 100 arms, and serpents instead of legs. They were of a terrible aspect. Their hair hung loose about their shoulders, and their beards was suffered to grow unmolested, right? Suffered to grow, meaning that they can't grow beards, right? Their beards were suffered to grow, right? Meaning that they don't grow unless you like fuck with it. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest, most of us Black Americans don't really grow beards like that. Like, you know, a lot of us do have that Rick Ross, but that's kind of like the minority, honestly. Majority of us don't really. A goatee is about the best you're going to get out of me. That's what I be telling folks. You know what I'm saying? And it ain't even a long goatee. This is it. So, but Pete Gang though, but he said something though that caught my attention. They said these giants also had 100 arms. Now, when you think about Goro from Mortal Kombat, Shiva from Mortal Kombat and Hindu mythology, right? And, you know, just beings like that, they may not have 100 arms, but they do got 4 of them bitches. And they were giants. And they are half serpent and half human giants. Think about that when they put that in your face with Mortal Kombat, right? So, but Oceanus, right? But Oceanus and his race are by the mythologists treated as giants. Titanes, a name given to the sons of Celeus and Terra. They were 45 in number, according to the Egyptians, right? Apollodorus mentioned 13. 13, huh? Hagnius, 6. Hesiod, 12. The most known of the Titans are Saturn. The most known of the Titans are Saturn. Who is Saturn? Saturn is Thoth. Saturn is Thoth. Who the most known, right? Remember, Thoth is the most known out of all the Egyptian gods, right? The most known of the Titans are Saturn, Thoth, Hyperion, right? Oceanus, Jupiter, Zeus, and etc. They were all of a gigantic stature and with proportionable strength. Among these extraordinary characters was Typhonus, or Typhoon, is reckoned. He was a famous giant, son of Tartarus and Terra, who had 100 heads, like those of a serpent or a dragon. Flames or devouring fire were darted from his mouth and from his eyes, and he uttered horrid yells like a different sound. Woo. And then saying angels had multiple eyes, they twist everything. Yup. What's that in Chief Smoking? Peace, fam. Y'all know we still in America, right? I just want to let y'all know that. I just want to remind y'all. Y'all know we still in America, right? Ain't nowhere have we said we are in Greece or Greek or Rome. We are still in America. We're at in America. Well, so far, the Pacific Islands is also kind of, they call it America as well too. India Superior, right? Before all the colonization happening, right? So from the Pacific Ocean to the mainlands to the Atlantic Ocean, this they talking about this right here, India Superior, right? America must have been peopled by giants. Excuse me. Now we're gonna put a pause on that real quick, because they said America was peopled by giants. And one thing that they don't even be telling people, or that the Smithsonian is covered up, it is uncensored. Tahiti and Haiti, if you rearrange the letters of Haiti, you get Tahiti. You real shit. You rearrange the letters, you get Tahiti. Thoth, the Atlantean, American. All these names, ironically, most of these names of these places still bears Thoth's names or other aliases of him. His descendants, Thoth's descendants and followers are called children of the sun. So, just be gang. So we're going to go here real quick with it, right? The ancient giants who ruled America. The Missing Skeletons in the Great Smithsonian Cover-Up by Richard J. Dewhurst. Okay? Right? Like the Greeks are the Creeks. Yep. A lot of them descend from the Mayans or the Mayas. When you follow the serpent, you find your people. And the serpent went through all these, prominent nations that we know in history, right? From America, they went to Greece, Italy, Sicily. They went to the Iberian. They went to Ireland. They went to North Africa, what we call North Africa. They went into that Egypt over there and started doing their thing over there. They went to China. They went to Japan with the Nagasaki. They went to China with the Shi Dynasty and the Naga and the Red Dragon over there and the Black Dragon. You know what I'm saying? When you follow the Naga, you find your people. They went to Cambodia. Cam, meaning what? Okay, Cambodian, right? They done went there. Indus Valley. All the way through Mecca. You can find the Naga, you can find the serpent, you can find the giants, you can find the hieroglyphs, the pyramids, you can find it all. You can find it all. You know what I'm saying? You follow the Naga, you find your people. So big gang, The ancient giants who ruled America, right? So this is a book I've been keeping in the clink for a while, right? And it gets real specific in it too, right? Exactly, uncensored. 95% of the history that is taught is ours. We just don't recognize it no more because they took us up out of it. Just like they took the name out the Bible of God and got people just saying God and titles and shit. So peep game though real quick. So in New Hampshire, there was a giant that was 9 feet tall that was discovered. All right. The relics of the prehistoric age have been brought in light to Noble County. The find is in York Township, where workmen excavating for a public highway found the skeleton of an inhabitant of early days. The bones indicate that the person was fully 9 feet tall. The bones are unusually large, and the position of the skeleton when found indicated that the person had been buried in a sitting position. The belief is advanced that the remains are those of a mound builder. Excuse me, you said what? You said the remains of those are a mound builder. Let me say that one more time. The remains of a mound builder. History of the town of Rockingham, Vermont, 1907. When the earth was removed from the top of the ledges east of the falls, a remarkable human skeleton, unmistakably that of an Indian, was found. Right? Not native, Indian. Those who saw it tell the writers that the jawbone was of such size that a large man could easily slip it over his face, and the teeth, which were all double, were perfect. This skeleton was kept for many years deposited in the attic of a small building on the north side of the square. This building was then occupied by Dr. John H. Wells' office and drugstore, and stood there the Italian fruit store now does. When the building was rebuilt a decade, more than bones disappeared, right? Now the bones mysteriously disappeared. Y'all know how that shit go. Y'all know how that shit go. Now the bones mysteriously disappeared, right? All right. So, going to Maryland. Bones of giant Indians found in Maryland. Plural. Prehistoric men 7 feet tall who once lived in what is Maryland. Now, this is 1897. Listen to how tall they are considering a giant to be. A giant, which we're going to read, is anywhere between 6'1" to like 20 feet plus. Yes, you guys, if I was back in old times, they would have called me a giant too. I'm 6'2.5". They would have been like, giant Indian. I'd have been like, bro, chill out, bro. I'm just here to get some Frosted Flakes, nigga. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? Like real time, man. I'm just here, because for one, people were shorter back then too. We also got to keep that in mind. Back then, people were shorter. People was barely hitting like 5'5" and 5'8" and shit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we was being tall because we the Indians that they're fighting, right? But the European is naturally short people. You feel me? So they were short. So, man, look. So now that made me start thinking like, damn, 7 feet giants is considered giant. Then you look at the NBA, all them niggas is 7 feet 7, 7'1", 7'2", 6'9", 6'8", 6'7". And then we all be sitting here talking about, man, all the giants and disappeared. No, all the giants didn't. Them niggas is dribbling a basketball right now inside the Roman Coliseum that we call a basketball ring. The ones who used to help niggas build pyramids is now dribbling basketball, dunking on 10 feet gold. It's crazy how far we fell, right? Oh, Lucifer, how art thou fell from heaven? It's amazing how far we fell from heaven, huh? Peep game, light bearers. It's time to wake up. So now there has just been received at the Maryland Academy of Science the skeleton of an Indian 7 feet tall. It was discovered near the Antietam. There are now skeletons of 3 powerful Indians at the academy who at one time in their wildness roamed over the states of Maryland, armed with such instruments as nature gave them, or that their limited skill taught them to make. 2 of these skeletons belonged to individuals evidently of gigantic size in Maryland, right? You said we looking at them, right? Yeah, we are the Giants. Never correlated that, but it makes sense. Yeah, we are the Giants. You know what I'm saying? My great-great-grandfather was 6'6". Yeah, man, my great-great-grandmama was 6'9". I swear to you. I got to get the picture from my grandmama when I go back home, but my great-great-grandmama, she was 6'9", and she kept 2 straps in her bra. And her husband was like 5'8", or like 5'5", 5'8", or something like that. Yeah, that shit crazy. So I get my height from my grandmama. You know, my great-great-grandma. That's where I get my height from. You know, that giant DNA. You know, that Nephilim, as they call it. You know, that Nephilim. What's that in the melanated guy? Right? Try to tell y'all, look, for one, this how you know that we descend from giants, right? Because when they was finding giants, a lot of the giants had like extra pinkies and extra toes. You know, they had the genetic markers for Mongolian spots and shit like that. And most of us Black Americans were born with extra pinkies or an extra toe. Some of us had it removed. Well, most of us had it removed at birth, and people never told you about it, or your people have told you about it. It all depends on your family and your situation. And then, you know, others of us just, you know, man, peak gang, right? So now we in the Potomac River giant, right? Yeah, I was born with an extra pinky. My daughter was. They took it off though, but my daughter was. I was. Shit, you know. You said you 5'5", but you got long limbs. Said how tall am I? I'm 6'2.5". Well, I'm 6'2", but I'm 6'2.5" in Jordans. You know what I'm saying? I might could push 6'3", you know, in some polo boots. But yeah, I'm 6'2". I caught my growth spurt late in life. Like, I was probably like in 10th grade, 10th, 11th grade when I caught my growth spurt. I was like 5'5" for the longest. And I thought that this was no shots at you know, 5-foot people. But, you know, I come from a family of tall folks, like my uncles, my cousins and shit, everybody 6 feet or whatever. And here I am, 5'5", and my mama's side, you know, they short. Like my mama's side, you know, my mama 4'11". You know, her daddy, my granddaddy was like 5'2", 5'3", you know what I'm saying? My grandmama, her mama like 5'4". So I'm just like, man, come on, Daddy Gene. I need y'all to kick in for your boy. You know what I'm saying? So by the time I got to high school, I thought that shit was it. I was like, fuck it. You know? But man, they went to sleep one day, woke up, and they were like 6 feet. I grew a whole 5 inches overnight. Like 5, 6, 7 inches overnight. I was like 6 feet when I woke up. And then going into junior year, you know, I hit them last little 2 inches. So I've been 6'2" for a grip. My baby cousin, my little cousin, you know, and it's funny saying my baby cousin, but my baby cousin, he's 6'7". And people don't believe that he my baby cousin though, but that shit be hilarious. They're like, that's your cousin? Man, that my little cousin. Yeah, shit. Ain't shit little about that nigga. But yeah, my little cousin like 6'7". You said that's 10th grade. What's saying that, Tommy? Peace. Yeah, you 6'2", melanated? Yeah. Saying you was in college and you started growing, yo, you about the same height. Yeah. It happened over one summer. Facts. Man, shout out to everybody that's in here. So that should be funny when I'm out in public with Mom Dukes and here she is 4'11", and here I am 6'2". So this is why I be saying, like, there were actual giants. Like, they found actual skeletons 18 and 20 feet tall here. But I'm just saying, like, when we read and they be like 6 foot, 6'2", 7 feet, and to us in modern time, we be like, nigga, that's tall, but a giant? But that's because you've been desensitized by watching the basketball and Giants dribbling the ball. So they desensitize you to a lot of shit. But you also got to think, like, to my mama who's 4'11" and her son is 6'2", I'm technically a giant to her. She tell me all the time, back your giant ass up, hovering over me and shit. I'm like, damn, mama, I ain't see you right there. You know, shit, for real. You got to make a noise or something. I knock you over. I can't see you, y'all. But it should be hilarious, though, out here in public. But yeah, well, Pete Gang, though. So the Potomac River giant, right? The skeleton of a giant Indian, right? Maybe 7 feet or more feet in height, who unalived and was buried about the time Christ was born. What? This giant was buried about the time Christ was born? I mean, it don't get no more clear than that. I don't even think we need to keep going. Wrap this up, man. America, the land of giants, man. America's the real old world, Old Testament, you know, Nephilim and shit. You know what I'm saying? I'll catch y'all tomorrow. Right? So this giant was buried about the time of Christ was born. Okay? He was buried by the time that Christ was born. Right? What Christ? Because remember, Christ is a title. What Christ? Thoth, Buddha, Krishna. What Christ you talking about, right? P gang. So, and it has been unearthed from prehistoric burial grounds along the Potomac River, right? Prehistoric era. There are no pale-skinned and straight-haired people at this time. Do I gotta say this again? Right? Prehistoric time. There are no pale-skinned or straight-haired people at this time. The gene has mutated. These are melanated niggas with afros. All right. And you got some light skin. You know, you got some light skin giants. I ain't gonna just sit here and say that these niggas is dark skin, dark brown. You know, you got some light skin. You got some red bone giants. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the Potomac River, right? So P gang, right? So Nicholas Yager, who has been excavating at this time in other sites of early Indian villages along the Potomac River in recent years, discovered the skeleton of the giant Indian along with the other artifacts buried with the body on Saturday, April 28th. Just a few weeks ago, Mr. Yanger said that apart from the huge size of the Algonquin Indian, not the Iroquois Joya, who like to be watching in the hallways, the Algonquin, right? The Algonquin Indian, right? Mound builder, okay? The next most interesting thing about the remains is that the bow and quiver of 5 arrows were buried with the body. 2 elk antlers and 3 1/2-inch arrow points in the center of the tibias are part of the quiver arrows. Near the point of the antler arrows is a perfect boiled bone fish hook, revealing his fishing line, was also placed with the body. 3 large white flint triangle arrowheads were found at the site of the left tibia. This aborigine must have been a hunter with great strength, as is indicated. Okay, you live by the Potomac River? Hey, that's dope. Melanated, peace. Giants all over America, right? America, the real old land, right? What's that? More star in the building, right? Yeah, old maps will tell you that. Ancient burial grounds at Black Creek. Black Creek, boy, you don't get no more. Yeah, you don't get no more direct than that, right? Black Creek, that White Creek. Black Creek, all right? So along the Susquehanna River in Indiana County, Pennsylvania, a major Indian burial site was uncovered. Altogether, 49 skeletons, right? Altogether, 49 skeletons were exhumed, the tallest being 8 feet tall. These skeletons were reportedly taken to the Harrisburg Museum for reassembling and then shipped to the Smithsonian for further study. Huh. We ain't never seen or heard them motherfuckers again. However, the Smithsonian denies any knowledge of them. Whole Smithsonian. Y'all sent it to the Smithsonian. They threw them bitches in the basement. And they was like, we don't even know what y'all talking about. What giants? The giants we sent y'all last year. Nah, y'all ain't send us no giants. All right, Morris Star, you feel me? Now y'all ain't send us no giant. We don't know what you talking about. The giant Indians, nigga, the 8 feet tall ones that y'all found. Nope. Right? Debo, right? Debo. Right? On the site of the William H. Rhea farm, circa 1871 to 1880 in Kalmung. That's a crazy ass European name, forgive me. All right. Coolmog, right? Township was west of the mouth of Black Leg Creek. Black Legs Creek. Boy, it don't get no more direct than that. Boy, who got black legs out here? Shit, the only people I know got dark skin, black leg, boy. I ain't never seen a native. Okay, let me stop playing. But I'm so serious though, right? Black Legs Creek, okay? A skeleton of men, probably Indians, were found. Noted local historian Clarence Stevenson says, quote, one of the skeletons is of a giant nearly 8 feet tall. The giant skeleton measured 89 inches from the top of the skull to the phalanges of the feet. It was covered with small stones laid on the back and measured 26 inches across the chest. Yeah, Black Leg Creek, fam. Part of the cover up from the reset. Yeah, facts, Chris. Yep. Chris Starr. Yep. They had to reset not only America, but they had to reset society all over the world at least 10 times. I would say 10, but what I could find and dig up, it was like 7 resets that happened before it got to our generation. You know, that's why I always reiterate to y'all that a lot of this stuff didn't happen that long ago. Remember, they changed the calendars, the time and the dates, and you know what I'm saying, they added damn near 1,000 years, right? We're not that far from ancient time when you think about it. We're not that far. A lot of these giant skeletons are just being buried in the 1800s. Some of them was buried at the time Jesus was born, right? But remember, giants live for a long time as well too. You know what I'm saying? So peak game. So the following reports from 1916 is a discovery of skeletons found in the area of Sayre, Pennsylvania. Report of 68 skeletons averaging 7 feet tall. Averaging, meaning that majority of them was 7 feet tall. The other ones was probably 6 feet. On July 13, Professor Skinner of the American Indian Museum excavating the mounds at Toga Point in Sayre, Pennsylvania, uncovered the bones of 68 men, which he estimates had been buried at least 700 or 800 years ago. The average height indicated by the skeletons was 7 feet, but many were taller. Evidence of the gigantic size of these men were seen in huge axes found beside the bones. Huge axes. Somebody had to chop down the giant tree. It would take a giant to chop down the giant tree. The question is, why would they do that though? Makes me wonder how tall were the enslaved elders. Man, come on, man. So this is another reason why I don't believe we were enslaved like how they tell us. Because if we know we the Indians and we know that these are Indian giants, if they already having trouble with us regular height folk, man, what you think gonna happen to the giants? So what I think happened was that's when they realized they couldn't fight us. So what they had to do was do biological warfare on us. They had to chop down trees, change the oxygen and everything. Once they GMO and once they did everything to the environment and the air and stuff like that, a lot of the giants either pass away or they stop being giants. Now we are shorter now. You know what I'm saying? Now we are shorter. You feel me? So, but but that's just a little guesswork though. I don't want to conjecture nothing, but that's what I think happened. Oh man, live visibility restricted for 10 minutes. Misinformation. Damn, I must have hit the nail on the head with that one. Cause I was cool the whole time I was reading. I must hit the nail on the head with that one right there. Well, now y'all know what happened. For real, what's happening, Alicia? Hey, shit, now y'all know what happened. As long as we was reading with giants, it was cool. Once I said what happened to them, man, look, man, peak, hey, right? Was that an aura? Hey, sometimes you just gotta trust your intuition and the logic. A lot of stuff ain't gonna be in the book. Some stuff, the books are here to spark the epigenetics that's in you. The epigenetics is your so-called junk or ancestral DNA, right? Again, it's like a person having amnesia and you show them pictures to help them remember. Same thing. We got amnesia over here. And the reason why they hid books and pictures because it would jog our memory. It will start to remember. Peace, peace. That they are the ones that chop down the trees. Hold that thought more. Hold that thought right there because it ain't so straightforward like that. So America's the land of the giants. You got good giants, you got bad giants. So Indian on Indian wars was just a reflection of giant on giant wars that was going on. So you had giant on giant wars that was going on at the same time as Indian on Indian wars. Because remember, not only did we have giants, but you also, you still got, you got Gog and Magog and them who had giants over there in Europe. You know what I'm saying? You so-called Asia or Eurasia, Africans had their giants and stuff like that. So, War of the Gods was going on. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, giants chopped down the trees, but it wasn't our giants that chopped down the trees. At least not that I believe. I believe that we was protecting the Garden of Eden because Garden of Eden is in America. So it will make sense for us to be protecting it. Yeah. So peak game. And again, y'all, these are mound builders, fam. Right? These are mound builders, right? Just below the surrounding surface, a layer of boulders and pebbles was found. Directly underneath was found a skeleton of a giant 8 feet and 7 inches in height. Surrounding the skeleton were bones and stones, implemented stone hatchets, and other characteristics of a mound builder. All these giants are mound builders, and they got some big ass hatchets. The discovery is considered by the scientists as one of the most important ever made in Ohio. The skeleton is now in the possession of Ronersville collectors, okay? The Big Whopper, 18 feet and counting. Ooh, let me hit the Sophia Legends before we read there, y'all. Ooh, how many minutes we got on this restriction? We got 6 more minutes on this restriction. Man. Yup. We had the biggest trees, so the biggest giants. Yup. That oxygen. I believe that we had that. I believe that we had that that O3. You know what I'm saying? I believe we had that O3 oxygen, that pure oxygen. You know, it ain't the fact that the oxygen is thinner when you climb higher in the mountains. It's the fact that it's pure the higher you climb. And as so-called humans who've been living amongst pollution our whole lives, we're not used to pure air. Pure air will probably unalive us because we're not accustomed to it. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of for the giants when you reach a certain level, right? But that doesn't mean that we ain't supposed to have a certain clean air down here too, which is the reason why they polluting it. But the higher you go in so-called altitude, I don't believe that the oxygen gets thinner. I just believe it gets pure. And they don't want to tell people that. Pure air is good for your cells. But check this out though. 18 feet and counting? The following newspaper accounts from 1870 edition of the Ohio Democrat postulates that the giant whose skeleton was found with a 9-foot long sword. Damn. The skeleton was found with a 9-foot long sword. Must have stood 18 feet tall. In his stocking, it then alleges that the skeleton was shipped to New York. Since this account is highly speculative to say the least, let's just say this was one big skeleton to leave it at that. And then that one mysteriously disappears too, right? Okay. All right. 18-foot giant. A 9-foot long sword. That just lets me know that he's going to war with other giants. And these other giants and mound builders who had hatchets and shit. War of the gods, right? It all happened here. Mount Olympus, the Titans, the giants, the children, demigods, right? All that Greek mythology that they tell you that happened right here. What's happening, Alexis? That happened right here. And it ain't even happened that long ago. All right? P game. So they said giants in America. Now, I ain't going to give y'all everything, but I'm going to give y'all this one right here from Georgia. One time for my people in Georgia. One time for my folk in Georgia. You know, y'all got family from Georgia and shit like that. You did what I'm saying. We're going to give you this one right here. What's NC 3-piece? Right? We're going to give you this one right here. Giants found in Georgia. All right? Giants found in Georgia. The find of a giant race. Right? A giant race, meaning multiple giants, not just one, right? A race. Okay? Don't make me do my finesse 2-time head shake on this motherfucker. Right? What's happening, Lou? Peace. Wow. Right? Don't make me do my finesse 2-time head shake on this motherfucker, man. A race of giants. It's a lot of motherfuckers. Averaging 6.5 to 7 feet tall. Now, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, man, shout out to all my 6-foot people. You know what I'm saying? They got us in there with the giants, you feel me? You know what I'm saying? I be trying to tell people, like, folks don't understand how I feel to be a giant. Everybody want to be tall, but y'all don't know the tall people problems. We always bumping our heads. The older we get, the knees get to popping. You know what I'm saying? My knees ain't the same. Like, I ain't never had no accident or nothing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't got no bad knees, but them bitches be popping now. You know what I'm saying? It be a long way down when shit drop, be a long way up, nigga. Lower back be hurting. All the kids want to climb on you and shit. Everybody always wants you to reach something. Hey, can you reach that for me? Come on, man. Look, everybody want to be tall, but don't nobody want to talk about the tall people problems. We can't even fit in the tub. See, don't know nobody. Look, bro, nobody even give a fuck about tall people. None of y'all ever asked us, are we comfortable in the tub? Hell no. I am 6'2.5", one of the giants of Georgia, because I am from Georgia, right? Hello, we still here. I am 6'2.5". There is no tub that I fit in. Everybody that be 5 feet, y'all can kick back, lay back with your feet in there and just the water up to your neck. It's cool. My leg is longer than the tub, man. Come on, bro. Car seats and shit. You know what I'm saying? Everybody want to ride behind a tall person. That's why my seat be all the way back. Can't no, bro. Only 3 people can ride with me. I swear to God. Only 3 people can ride with me. Me, the passenger, and somebody sitting behind the passenger. Ain't no, bro. I am 6'2". My seat don't go that far back. Right? I'm to the full extent back. I don't think y'all understand tall people problems. Everybody want to be tall. Man, shout out to everybody that's in here, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. C3 said she 5'3". He said the bigger they are, the harder they fall. Shit, some short people fall hard too. Shit. Shit. Look, I grab you and slam you, boy. You gonna fall hard as hell. You coming up 6 feet high and you going down 6 feet down. Boy, that's a long drop. Nah, fuck with y'all. But check it out though. Check it out though. I met somebody that was 6'9". He made me feel like I was 5'2", whatever the fuck that feel like. However 5 foot people feel standing next to 6 foot people, I felt like that standing next to a 6'9" person before. I was like, God damn. You don't play no basketball? This nigga said, nah, I don't play no basketball. I was like, shit. See it man, always be y'all tall. Y'all, it's always the tall niggas like y'all that don't be playing no basketball, bro. If I was 6'9", I'd be out here like Zion on there, boy. 6'9" with my athletic ability, I'd have been like Zion, nigga. You don't know. So what you do for a living? I work in AT&T and I do philosophy for a major in school. A tall ass, philosopher ass nigga. Old, tall Socrates ass nigga. You know what I'm saying? You supposed to be out here. You supposed to be a warrior, nigga. You supposed to be frontline building. You Socrates ass nigga. Nah, I'm fucking with him. Nah, but shout out to my super, super, super tall people out there, though. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. If God would have gave me like 3 more inches on top of this 6'2", if he would have made me like at least 6'5", I probably could have slid in the G League or something. You know what I'm saying? He gave me 3 more. I would have lied and said 6'6". What's that, Kevin? Peace. Your little bro 6'3", and I call him tall for no reason. But I'm telling you, be 6'3", and all they want to do is stream and play GTA and get paid from video games and shit. You be like, come on, bro. Come on, man, yo. Oh, man. You said you about 5'6". You ain't really short, Jen. You 5'6". You like average, right? You ain't short, but you ain't tall. You know, you like medium. You know, you like medium. No, I'm just playing with you. But check it out though, man. We talking about this giant race averaging from 6.5, right? 6.5 to 7 feet tall. Electrified the nation, right? It electrified the nation. As attested to by the following Sunday photo picture, which appeared in prominent newspapers across the country on August 2nd, 1936. This article appeared complete with comparative photos of giant skulls and pictures and photos of an entire skeleton laid out on its back at the site. Beneath one of the photos of the main archaeology points to the giant skull was this caption, quote, Dr. Preston Holder, above photo, was directing archaeological studies and excavations on Sea Island, Georgia. Shout out to my Geechee people, right? Sea Island, Georgia. Shout out to the Geechee people, right? Points out the unusual characteristics of one of his amazing finds. And I know that this is a Negro, nigga. Sea Island, Georgia? Hey, Gullah Geechee territory, nigga. I know ain't no natives trying to claim Sea Island, boy. Y'all crazy as hell. But the skeleton of these here-throw unknown American Aborigines, right? American Aborigines, huh? Okay. They all ranged in height from 6.5 to 7 feet tall. So this was a village of a race of tall giants. So we talking about DeSoto and these niggas pulling up to the Americas, being met with giants, fam. So when we ask these questions and no, yes, they said that most of all these giants were mound builders. These were mound builders. Not Athabascans, not Nudene, not no Navajo, not no Apache, not no Seneca, no. These were Algonquin Nation mound builders. It is not really far-fetched when you understand, like, how were the pyramids built and shit. People be thinking about, man, we ain't got the technology. Giants, bro. Like, the giants back then wasn't brittle like the ones of today, right? When you see people that's 8 and 9 feet tall today, you know, they all brittle and everything like that, right? It wasn't like that. The oxygen, the atmosphere, the times was different. So you talking about 18-foot giant with a 9-foot sword that we just read. We talking about 9-footers with hatchets and shit. Big giants, swole giants. Don't you think a 18-foot giant with a 9-foot sword can pick up one of these boulders and sit it into play? Don't you? I do. Don't you think a 9-footer, you get 2 or 3 9-foot giants grabbing one of these big ass bricks from both ends, they could carry it like 2 niggas carrying the sofa? I do. I do. Hercules was a giant. In the real story, he was a giant. He was a demigod. Taller than most bridges that you drive up under. Most bridges are like 12 or 13 feet high, yeah. Giants that tall would throw boulders for fun, man, I'm telling you. 18 foot with a 9-foot sword. That 9-foot sword made of metal and copper. You know that thing heavy. You know that 9-foot sword heavy. Made out of metal and copper and gold, more likely. Since he's an Indian, you know we like to put gold on everything. He definitely had some gold on that bitch. They ain't gonna tell us, cause you know they probably melted that bitch down. You know what I'm saying? You know, we just read the 18-footer mysteriously disappeared when they got to New York, nigga. They ain't even mentioned the sword. You took the sword straight from the site on that motherfucker. That shit probably would have had gemstones and everything on that bitch. That was like, yeah, transport the giant. What we gonna do with the sword? What sword? It wasn't no sword here. Transport the giant. Smithsonian gonna come and meet you in New York. So don't mention the sword. What sword are you talking about? Them niggas were hitting them with one of them. What's that in this swarthy? For real, they was hitting them with one of them. What sword, nigga? Do what you are told. You know how the military get down. Giant Excalibur. There's certain books that said that King Arthur's sword was a giant sword in certain texts, right? But we ain't about to get into that right now. But just, let's just think about this thing for a second of how America and the Indians really look like. Because we know that these race of giants in America are not the ancestors of these small ass, I'm sorry, but Mexicans, fam. Y'all niggas ever stood next to a Mexican, bro? I have. And I want to tell you, if you are like 5'5" and taller and you stood next to a Mexican, it makes you feel tall. So imagine how I feel at 6'2" and other brothers at 6'3". And they want you to think that these niggas whooped your ass in history, bro. Get the fuck out of here. We're reading about a race of giants and villages. This is another reason why I don't think slavery happened the way it happened, because we had giants living during colonial times. And they wasn't the brittle niggas that we have today. You have never seen a 6-foot Mexican? Me neither. Not to sound racist or nothing, but me neither. I've never seen a 6-foot Mexican before. And if you do see a 6-foot Mexican, he's probably more likely mixed with us. He's probably like an Afro Mexican. You know what I'm saying? He ain't like full on Jesus. You know what I'm saying? There are many in Cali, yeah, and a lot of them in Cali got Negro ancestors too that they keep in them closets. Be gay. Yeah, them Afro Baskins, swarthy. Them Afro Baskins, what we call them. You know, their ancestors had that Asian persuasion love, right? But what we reading though, right? We in the lost histories of America. Right? I just wanted to read a couple of pages to you to show you how many skeletons, how many giant skeletons that they found here in America. And that's not even all of it, dog. That's just the introduction that I read to you. Like I said, these books, we about to dive into both of these books throughout this week and probably a little bit into next week, because we have to talk about giants. We've been talking about Thoth the Atlantean. We done linked that all the way through the Negro Buddha and back to America and everything. And then continuing on with Thoth and that information, we open up the Lost Histories of book. They said that there's lands and islands that's still named after Thoth in America still to this day, like Tahiti in the South Seas or the Pacific Islands, right? Tahiti is literally Thoth, the land of Thoth. Thoth told you that he come from Atlantis. I showed you that Atlantis is America. Come on, man, P game. And now these people telling you that America must have been peopled by giants. And we already know that the serpent people was here as well too, the Nagas. You dig what I'm saying? And then I kind of just showed you that, you know, all the giants that they found, it wasn't really that long ago. P game. You know they talking about you, American Negro. These ain't no Ethabascans. All right. So this is not the only case in the classics, but it seems to have been the notion entertained by Scandinavians, right? We read that. Just want to reiterate. All right. All right. The Emerald Coast is waters of Gulf. Yep. It definitely is here. Yep. Gulf of Mexico. Facts. Appreciate the gifts, y'all. Thank y'all for the gifts. Yeah, tonight I'm just introducing y'all to the topics for this week that we about to dive into. Getting y'all little sneak peeks. You know what I'm saying? Getting y'all a little sneak peek because it's all connected. Like I've been showing, I'm putting the puzzle piece together. Like all these years, I always told you, all of this stuff is a puzzle piece. You just got to put it together. This is the year where I'm putting it all together for you. You know what I'm saying? So whether even if you miss a live, I will upload the videos to my YouTube. But this year, I'm taking all the puzzle pieces that we didn't gather throughout the years. Peace, Mother Nurture. Glad you could tap in. Right? I'm grabbing all the puzzle pieces that we didn't gather throughout the years, and I'm putting them in order, and I'm giving y'all the bigger picture from start till today, how everything transpired, right? And just remember that it was a lot of resets that happened as well, too. These folks was trying to get us up out of there, but we can't get up out of here, okay? What's happening, Coco? So now, about the Giants, huh? So check it. So he was no sooner born than to the average, the unaliving of his brother. The Giants he made war against heaven, and so frightened were the gods that they fled away and assumed different shapes. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? After the death of his brother, the Giants he made war against heaven, and so frightened were the gods, lowercase g, that they fled away and assumed different shapes. Excuse me. Another strange and wonderful notion which the ancients appear to have entertained concerning the inhabitants of the prehistoric America, pale skin and straight hair didn't even exist at this time, right? El Negro, Olmec, right? Prehistoric America is contained in the story of the Gorgons. What? Concerning the inhabitants of prehistoric America? We got to go to the story of the Gargons. The Gargons. Gargonites. The Gargons. It is worth transcription. Quote, the Gargons were 3 celebrated sisters, daughters of Pharisees in Quito or Cito. Their names were Sathenio, Uriel, and Medusa. Medusa. They were all immortal except Medusa. According to the mythologists, her heirs were intertwined with serpents. Their hands were brass. All right, brass, right? Brown, right? Brass. Her hands were brass. Her body was covered with impenetrable scales, and their teeth were as long as the tusk of a wild boar. And they turned to stone all those who they fixed their eyes upon. Medusa alone had serpents in their hair, according to Ovid. Now we know that these serpents' hair were locks, okay? P game. And this proceeded from the resentment of Minerva. In those temples, Medusa had gratified the passions of Neptune, who was enarmored of her on the account of her beauty of her locks, like I just told you, right? The beauty of her locks. Come on, man, who got locks? Right? The snakes in the hair were locks, right? Symbols for locks, right? Neptune, who was enarmored of her on account of the beauty of her locks. Shout out to the sisters. I told y'all I ain't forget about y'all. I told y'all the women is still in the story. You just got to decode it. The women is still in the story. You just got to decode it and put it together. Religion didn't leave women out of history. They just never told you. Put it in mythology. You know what I'm saying? But the women's still there. All right. Medusa. Prehistoric America, huh? Naga. Mama Maya, huh? Who was the primordial mother? the serpent mother who gave birth to the Nagas. What's happening inside? Who was Mama Maya, who is also known as Isis, who is also known as Queen Khalifa, who is also known as Widget in ancient Egyptian? Who is the Queen Mother? The primordial serpent mother, divine feminine wisdom, Sophia. P gang. So they said that the snakes in Medusa's hair were locks, and her hands were brass. And that pale skin, and she ain't had recessive hair or mats or matted hair. Her hands were brass, and her hair were locks. And we in prehistoric America. All right, it's time to wake up. Simba, remember who you are. You know what I'm saying? So the question is, when two giants come together and they make love and have kids, right? If you get one Naga giant, right, Thoth, and you get Isis or Maya, right? You get children of the sun. Okay? You get children of the sun. Just keeping it real. Do we understand what we talking about? Are the American Negro giants of America, the titans and giants of the Bible? Huh? They said that America must have been peopled by giants. Right? I got proof that the ancient giants who ruled America, the missing skeletons in the Great Smithsonian cover-up, oh shit. Right? The the Catholic cover-up, huh? Right? The Catholic cover-up, right? Everybody on this photo call you a wabo every day. Look at it. Everybody on this picture call you a wabo every day. For real. Everybody in this picture call you a wabo, man. Hey, 222 likes. We all synchronized. I'm dropping a jib on you, right? The Ethabascio. Right, Whistle. The Ethabascio. Come on, man. Let them cook. I'm saying it take peace. The picture get a little bit clearer now, huh? The picture get a little bit clearer, right? Smithsonian cover up, huh? What are they covering up, right? Giant niggas, huh? What are they covering up, right? A serpent mother. I don't know, but you keep reading though, right? Shout out to Thoth and the Tahiti. Age of Awakening is the age of Thoth. Peep game. Let's go. So, so we talking about Medusa, who later is Queen Khalifa. But we'll get there though. We'll get there. I don't want to jump ahead. So Medusa had gratified the passions of Neptune, who was enamored of her or admired of her on the accounts of the beauty of her locks, which the goddess changed into serpents. Right? The goddess changed them into serpents. Man, y'all got to stop giving everything to white people. But she changed them into locks, right? It was for a reason. It was part of her powers to turn into freezing people and shit, right? But P gang. So, nah, for real. Only if you remember Medusa, only time that they turn into serpents is when she's mad, if she's fighting, right? When she's cool, calm, collected, they locks. All right. So the residence of the Gargons was beyond the ocean in the west. Right? So the residence of the Gargons was beyond the oceans in the west. The last sentence in this tradition proves that the Gargons were Americans. Excuse me, fam? You said what? They said that the Gargons were American. Americans, right? The Gargons, Medusa. Medusa. American God, huh? I wonder that's why they got rid of that TV show. Let's keep going though. All right. So the last sentence in this tradition proves that the Gargons were Americans. They must have been so if they resided beyond the oceans in the west. They are children of Pharisees in Quito, the grandchildren of Fontius, who coincides with Oceanus, right? The Medusa is easily located by her serpentine abilities, right? She must be put in the serpent land, America. That is to say, Mexico and the surrounding regions. Mississippian would be a surrounding region. And like we showed y'all, a lot of our tribes actually come from Mexico. And we moved up and became mound builders. Shout out to the Mayans, Maya Naga. Who is Maya? Right? So you got to put her in the serpent land. And that is to say Mexico and the surrounding region. Uriel is the daughter of Minos, who in later chapters will be found in Peru. So that she must stand for the settlement of the west shores of South America. Cythenio will be located ultimately as representative of the earthworks scattered over the woods in the prairies of North America, southeastern woodlands. It may be objected that while Hesiod places the Gargons beyond the ocean of the west, Euclides puts them in eastern Scythia and Ovid in the eastern part of Libya. But that is not inconsistent with the present localization. The Gargons are the forefathers of the savage races as Gog and Magog in the old continent. Uh-oh. But America is the old world, though, so that wouldn't be far-fetched. Big game. All right. So their worship was almost universal. Then they must have crossed the Atlantic Ocean in vast numbers, and they must have entered into the religious systems of all nations, Greece not accepted. If this is to be relied upon, all history must be topsy-turvy, upside down, told backwards like we've been telling people. And the gods and the stem fathers of European races must be sought for in the forests of North America. Right? They say if this is relied upon, all history must be topsy-turvy, upside down, backwards, in reverse. Like we've been saying. And the gods and stem fathers of European races must be sought for in the forest of North America. America appears also, according to the conceptions of the ancients, to have been the land of demons. Land of demons, right? I guess because this the land of the serpent, right? Land of giants and shit. You know, we gotta be the land of demons. I tell you, they gonna always demonize you in the story, right? So it will be shown in after pages that poetical astronomer and the pictorial map makers have treated the west coast of South America as especially demonatical. The mention of Plato or Pluto in the myth of Eumedes supplies the same idea. It is, however, chiefly the demonology. Who gave you demonology? King James. Okay. So chiefly in demonology that this dark subject received its full development. So it was King James who started demonizing you in his demonology book. We're going to get back into the demonology book. Yeah, we're going to crack that back open. All right. So the demons of the Sabbath. The demons of the Sabbath. All right. So the demons of the Sabbath in the pictures which portray them must be taken to belong to this category. Take it all together. It must be admitted that the ancient literature has drawn a very pretty picture of the inhabitants of the oceanic hemisphere. Just take a look at them again in their assembled attitude. They suit very well in the transformation scene. Gods, well, a specimen of them is given in the next chapter in the person of Oceanus himself, a fine, noble looking character. Against those physical well-being, no exception can be taken. Then there are the giants of the Spitfire domination, with serpents for legs, and giants of overgrown dimensions and rapid growth. A specimen of that kind of gentry is seen in the person of Typhon in the Coptic zodiac. Then there are the Gorgons, lovely ladies with one eye among three. All seeing eye, one eye among three, and one without a head. Specimen of them are seen further on. Take the mermaids next. Take the mermaids next. Half woman, half fish. Just by way of diversity, Enchantia herself may be mentioned. Some of this class of characters can be found in a future chapter. The harpies must not escape observation. Specimens of them appear in hold on, I gotta move this up. They appear in the front piece, okay? They appear in the front piece and found in a future chapter. All right. Man, that's crazy right there. So now, and they appear in the front piece and somewhere else and everywhere else. Then come the Faunis, right? The Faunis with Pan, right? The god Pan, at their head. He will make his appearance. Emporia, Persona, when Central America is reached. The fairies or furries cannot be hidden, right? The furries, wild men, cannot be well hidden. They have played too large of a part in human history. One will show himself shortly on the egg of the world, filled up the picture with the demons. And we'll get there later on that week too. Right? America's the real old world. Right? Real old world. So P game. So now y'all know what we getting into this week. And we in for a dope ride. A dope ride. Okay. And because I don't have a giant series to post on YouTube or TikTok, we haven't really did a giant series. So, this right here would be good because it actually plays a part into putting the puzzle pieces together as well. Sabbath, real suspicious. Yeah. Shalom, Lola was at it. Yeah. So, with that being said, though, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for the night. I got to be up early in the morning at 5 a.m. for work. Back on the grind we go. So I hope to see y'all when I get off. I get off work at 2:30 tomorrow. We'll probably be on about 3:30, 4 o'clock. Give me enough time to screenshot a little bit more pages real quick and stuff like that and get everything prepared. So about 3:30 East Coast time. I'll see y'all when I get off. Yeah, you missed it, Zah, but I'm going to post it on my YouTube tonight before I go to bed. I'm going to post it on my YouTube. So, hey, you said look at your video. I got you. I'm gonna check it out. C3. I'm gonna check it out. So with that being said, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all night, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Vibrate high, peace, prosperity, abundance, gratefulness, gratitude, appreciativeness, practice serenity. Vibrate high, peace, prosperity, abundance, gratefulness, gratitude, and appreciativeness, practice serenity. Control what you can control, let go of what you can't control, and have the wisdom, know the difference so you can balance out all karma in your life, whether it's good or bad. And, teach the kids what you didn't know. With that being said, see y'all tomorrow, 3:30 East Coast times. America, the land of giants. Giant Negroes. Peep game. Peep game.